These pictures are from the last episode in downtown LA, and I'll be shooting there again, except this time I'll be using the Sony A7cII and the PolarPro 28mm light leak lens for this episode of Shuttervision. So the first thing I like to do is immediately start shooting, because you gotta get those reps in, you gotta get some warm-up shots going. So I'm not necessarily looking for the most advanced shot, I'm just looking for something to get me started. And for all of these pictures, I think they all pretty much look better in black and white, but there are exceptions for a few that I think also look very good in color. So I'm gonna show you both for each shot. So the reason why I returned to the same spot this time for this shoot is because it's raining, and it doesn't typically rain in LA, so I figured this would be a good opportunity to take advantage of things looking in a way that it don't typically look, even though I shot here on the last episode. Here's one of those situations where I'm looking around for another shot and trying to figure out, what might happen, and then this guy on the scooter just rides across the street and the opportunity presented itself and I took it. I didn't get me taking this mail truck picture on camera. I think I forgot to hit record, but I think this is definitely one of my favorite images from this shoot. One thing I think you're going to see throughout this video is making sure to stay in the moment. I think you have to kind of allow things to happen and to play out, and have a little foresight to what may happen in these situations, because there's nothing that you can guarantee is going to happen, and the shot might appear, and if you're not really paying attention, you might miss it. So if you see people standing on the corner and they're about to walk across the street, then you can kind of envision what might happen once they start walking across the street. So take your time. I just kind of walk through and just let things happen, and sometimes they happen, sometimes they don't. For these shots, there were a flock of birds that decided to start flying, and they were literally going round and round in circles. So I just kept shooting over and over again because I figured something might have looked cool in there, and that's why I have so many of the shots to show you of that situation, because I think quite a few of these look cool, and this is also one of those shots where I think the color pictures also look cool. So which version of these pictures do you like better? Do you like the black and white? Do you like the color images? Let me know down in the comments below. This shot by the Apple store is definitely a foreshadowing situation. I saw this guy coming down the street, and I knew based on what he had on that it might be a cool shot. So at this point, I know he's coming, but I'm already framing up where I'm going to take this picture. So I'm going to put my camera up, and I'm just going to let him fall right into the image. If you notice in most of these photos, I have my shutter speed set kind of low. I'm usually hovering around, 1/80th of a second, and that way I can easily slow it down or speed it up, because sometimes I like to use motion blur in my images. So I know that if I can quickly get it down to 1/30th of a second, or maybe sometimes even 1/20th of a second, I can incorporate motion blur into my images. And if I'm not trying to get motion blur, then I can just keep it up to around 1/80th or 1/100th of a second, and I allow my camera to auto ISO or auto aperture in some situations to fill in the rest of the exposure gaps. Here's another situation where I don't really know what I'm looking for or what might happen. I'm just kind of sitting on this corner because, you know, it has the potential for something to happen. And I don't know if you guys noticed this guy running, and he's going to end up running right over to me, and it just walked into my hands. This is also a shot that I didn't quite get on camera. I'm actually looking at the shot I just took, so I started recording like right after I took it, but it was this guy that was walking across the street that you just saw. Previous to this, he was really just standing at the corner waiting to cross. This is one of those cool things about revisiting a location in different conditions, because like I said, it doesn't really rain, so seeing the buildings with the tops with the cloud cover like it is now is something that's, you know, sometimes you can get these shots in the morning time, but definitely not, you know, in the middle of the day. Speaking to using this Polar Pro lens, is fixed at f11, and I also don't have to focus on anything. So the benefit of that is I don't have to think about camera settings or missing focus or anything. I can just literally point the camera and shoot. Here we are with the birds again. The birds flying around in a circle. I'm going to pull out the camera. Even though I did this already, you never know what's going to happen. For this shot, there's so many different walkways and geometrical shapes that you kind of got to sit there and stare around until you find something. And then I saw this and thought it was kind of cool how the triangle is made in the middle between the two staircases. And for the last shot, I always find myself taking pictures of the orange city buses, because them being orange with the backdrop of downtown LA, I think they pop a lot in different shots. So as I waited, one came and passed in front of the Disney concert hall and gave me this shot right here. So like I said before, all of these images were taken with the Sony A7cII with the Polar Pro 28mm light leak lens, and I had all the settings shown on each of the images. If you have any questions, comments, leave them down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you guys in the next one.